is the Newsroom.
This is the Newsroom for Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. We're broadcasting to you on E1, SKAR TV, NTN, and TARZEE TV in Bartica. In the headlines, the President launches a groundbreaking premium-free insurance venture for rice farmers.
This program is not just relief, it is a lifeline for you.
A new center for men's empowerment opens at the West Central Mall. Lorries to get speed limiting devices soon. And in sport, Titans All-Stars win Georgetown East Coast leg of Cares 1 Guyana T10 Tapeball Black, and former cricketer Sarwan hailed government's investment in sport. With the news, I'm Vishani Ragbir. Thanks for joining. To ensure that they are compensated in the event of extreme weather conditions and their livelihoods are protected from the increasing threat of climate change, President Dr. Finale on Tuesday launched a premium-free crop insurance venture for rice farmers. The program will provide free insurance coverage to approximately 6,000 rice farmers, shielding them from losses caused by extreme weather events such as flooding and drought. The insurance scheme is part of a broader national effort to ensure food security, modernize agriculture, and promote climate-smart farming practices.
Today marks a milestone moment in our agricultural sector. We also know that what the perils are associated with crop failure. We all know how floods and pest infestation can devastate crops and leave farmers struggling to repay their debts and without the finance to go back into crop. For years we have talked about crop insurance, but little traction was made. Until now, this is what makes today so historic. We owe it to those who feed our nation to ensure that they have a cushion should misfortune visit them. This program is not just relief, it is a lifeline for you. This initiative is part of government's larger goal to enhance livelihoods, safeguard our agricultural traditions, and position Guyana as a regional front runner in climate-smart agriculture. What we're doing here today is leapfrogging agriculture into the new age for food production system that must be climate-smart, climate resilient, and sustainable in its every form. Guy, for the first 2 years, 3 years, free, and this will cover in this initial phase 3 years. What you're getting today, farmers around the world are longing for.
This launch signifies not only a bold step in climate resilience, but also a demonstration of the government's unwavering commitment to safeguarding the livelihood of our farmers and strengthening the foundation of our national food security in Guyana. Approximately 6,000 rice farmers will now receive agricultural insurance coverage for the first time. But I want to say, for the first time in our country's history, but the President have negotiated with no premium payment is required by the farmer. In the past, agricultural insurance in Guyana has been out of reach for rice farmers. No company would want to take the risk of insuring crops in this country. If they do it at all, the premium will be very high. We are the first country in the entire region that we are launching a product here today to cover our rice farmers in our country. This is the initiative, comrades, is not just about risk reduction. It's about empowerment. It provides our rice farmers with a safety net, allow them to plant, plan, and produce with greater confidence, knowing that help is available when nature strikes hardest.
Over the years that climate change and weather changes are impacting farmers the most. There's no bigger community which gets impacted by climate change. Agriculture is such an important tool, but people forget how hard farmers work for food. And I think the farmers do not get enough support. At UPL, we are focused completely, and because we are involved in India, understand the small farmers' plights, we are focused completely on farmer resilience. By that we mean, how do we make the farmers more resilient? How do we make him more profitable? How do we increase the income level of farmers? Because we believe that farmers can help decarbonize the world if they are incentivized right. I think a reward system, a recognition system for farmers to really be able to capture carbon, to put carbon back in soil, to build sustainable systems is a much better way to decarbonize the world.
We tell you now that a youth-friendly and men's empowerment hub called the Brave Centre was commissioned at the West Central Mall, Lenora, on Tuesday. This centre is an initiative of the Minister of Human Services and Social Security in collaboration with the Region 3 Chamber of Commerce and Industry. With it, men and youth in Region 3 can have a dedicated space for support. Subject Minister Dr. Vinder Prasad spoke at the opening of the centre on Tuesday.
So today is significant on so many fronts. It's being able to take a policy that was launched last month and start the implementation in this month. That's huge. Huge in the sense that awareness of the policy, training to implement the policy, and for the first time in the history of this country, a center dedicated to men called the Brave Center. Your region, Region 3, and I want to challenge the other chambers of commerce in every region to be as generous as this one. Let this be a catalyst where more of these will spring up, where we will have young movements like Youths on the Rise and other young people across the country saying, yes, we want to work with the ministry on this because it matters to us. Where our young influencers can come and be a part of all of these things, and where every person, one at a time, we can make a difference in their lives, simply because everyone matters. And one thing that goes wrong can affect not only the person, their family, their community, their country.
To address the threat they pose to other road users and the reckless use of the roads, Traffic Chief Mahendra Singh said speed limiting devices for motor lorries will be introduced soon. Motor lorries have consistently been flagged for violations involving speeding, overloading, and poor vehicle maintenance. Singh made this disclosure on Tuesday's episode of Safeguarding the Nation.
Motor lorries have been consistently flagged with the offences of speeding, faulty park loads, and maintenance of motor vehicles. Motor lorry drivers also pose a significant threat by their unsafe behaviour to rural and urban road users. Noting this, we have partnered with the Ministry of Public Works to establish wait stations. In time to come, there will be the introduction of speed limiting devices to be installed on these motor lorries, which will restrict speed capability. Our traffic enforcement posture has taken into consideration what prevails, and so we target these offences in the spaces where the lorries dominate. We further engage with owners, fleet managers, and contractors to raise awareness that promotes voluntary compliance with the law. We have deployed several patrols to bolster the areas where lorries dominate for the movement of aggregate to promote safety and to enforce the law. With recent intervention of central government, there are multiple outposts now being established along high-volume areas where traffic progresses. Minibus, similarly as motor lorries, they pose a challenge and are associated with offenses of speeding, overloading, and or loud music. So our enforcement posture caters specifically to those offenses. We engage the drivers, the owners, and the passengers for important feedback in the process. And we've tightened the entire process of the issuance of a certificate of fitness and the road service license, which they require to operate on the road, as minibuses are recognized to be one of the most important means for public transportation. Crash data of recent and in the past would have suggested that in 2024, when 8 of 117 fatal accidents involved minibuses, this year only 1 out of the 63 actually involved a minibus.
For the year so far, there were a total of 63 fatal accidents, which resulted in 68 deaths on the country's roadway, according to Traffic Chief Assistant Commissioner Mahindra Singh. Speeding and reckless driving have been identified as the leading causes of these accidents. These figures represent a decline in fatal accidents when compared to last year. Singh made this revelation on Tuesday during the weekly Safeguarding the Nation program.
This is a genuine concern for us in the traffic department, as one life lost on the road is one too many. Reckless driving in our country is unfortunately driven by a combination of mixed attitude, lateness, poor planning of a journey, and a long-standing tendency towards supporting bending the rules. Younger folks continue to speed, and when accidents occur, young people also lose their lives. So what have we done exactly? Our enforcement postures have taken into consideration what prevails, and over the 2 periods you have mentioned, we have yielded, through our efforts, 139 plus thousand cases in 2024. In 2025 so far, we've recorded 89,506 cases for all offenses. We know and we recognize, therefore, we partner with critical stakeholders to take the message of safety and raise awareness in each space. Taking the message further, we have dedicated television programs and radio programs, so the audience reach is greater, the target audience even reached further. What I want to say to parents especially is that the orientation of a child, though he or she has attained adulthood, is continuous to teach them what is right from what is wrong or what is beneficial for them.
Still to come, we tell you about the industry youth with a passion for poetry. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Brandon Singh, a young writer from the industry village on the east coast of Demerara, copped the second place position in the senior poetry category at the 2024 Guyana Prize for Literature Awards. Beyond his wildest dreams, he was also awarded specially with the best first book of poetry, making him the youngest person ever to do so at age 22. Brandon's inspiration for his book, Guyana Into the Folklore, is based on superstitious stories of the Fair Maid, Olag, and Moongazer, stories he heard from his extended family while growing up. And his plans for the future? Well, Brandon is actively working towards publishing his book and rehearsing on a daily basis as he's part of the drama contingent for Carifesta being held in Barbados this August.
My name is Brandon Singh and I work full-time as the marketing and directorial supervisor at Hand in Hand. Other than that, in my leisure time, my part-time as you can see, I love writing, acting, basically just being in the arts and dwindling the area. So what I would say to young people is keep that passion, keep that drive, keep it going, keep that flame strong. And even when it comes to writing, don't be afraid to write, don't be afraid to put your raw emotions there, because your emotions, your writing might be what someone else needs to hear, and that's how you form a community. Guyana Into the Folklore basically touches on everything that you can think folklore-wise about Guyana, from Fair Lady to Old Hag, Moongazer, everything that you can think about folklore, even some traditions that were passed down from ages and stuff. You can find all of that in the book. So it's basically a look into our ancestry. And the reason why I was actually inspired to speak about it is because I think in today's society, we've kind of forgotten a bit about folklore, those zombie stories and all of that. So it was kind of good to bring it back to life, if you get what I mean. That was a major accomplishment for me as a writer, to not just be nominated among so many other great writers, but to win second prize for the best overall book of poetry and best first book of poetry was surreal to me. So even up to this day, I'm still like not over it as yet. Growing up, I'm not sure how many persons could actually relate, but growing up, you always hear these stories, no matter, you can't hide from it. There's always something you're hearing, even from your friends, your family, you're always taught something, don't do this, come through the door from your back. All these things you're always hearing about, so there's something that's left there. So that's where I kind of got the inspiration from, so start writing the book. The hardest part for me was the Creole, because I never ever have written in Guyanese Creole. So I had to sit down and try to structure that part. I'm not sure if I even wrote some of those Creole words correct, but I tried my best. So I was born and raised in industry, which is on the East Coast. I grew up in an extended family, everybody, but currently now I just live with my grandparents. And I attended the Commons Law Secondary School, but my passion for writing really started at Chabilal's Academy, when I was introduced to Miss Felicia. She would have us write poems to improve our literature skills. So that's when I actually got into that. That's a bit about my upbringing, nothing too interesting, I think. As you know, Carifesta is coming up, and thankfully I've been one of the persons chosen to go on behalf of Guyana to Carifesta in Barbados to showcase some of my literary work and also perform in a few of the productions that they're doing. So it's been daily rehearsals, every night, very tiring, but we're pulling through. I am hoping really strong for it to be August 1st, which is Emancipation. We're still currently working on the formatting part of it, which should be finished by today actually. So hopefully we get those printed before the week is out and we can do that launch.
We tell you now that the newly rebuilt Brick Dam Secondary School was officially opened on Monday afternoon, marking a major milestone in the school's history. In 2016, the old Brick Dam Secondary School was deemed unsuitable for learning, and students were relocated to the East La Penitence Primary School building.
The new Brick Dam Secondary School was opened on Monday. Education Minister Priya Manik-Chan described it as more than just a building, but a facility that will create Guyana's next leaders and where imagination and innovation will emerge. Contracts were signed in 2023 to construct the modern facility at a cost of $560.7 million. However, furniture and educational resources brought the overall cost close to $700 million. The school will welcome over 485 students and 51 teachers when the new academic year begins in September.
And so this, just to give you a small brief on this, what the building has, it has 22 classrooms, 3 staff rooms, 1 counseling room, sick bay, 2 deputy head teachers' offices, 1 HM's office, 2 science labs, 3 home ec rooms, because the home ec program has 3 components, 1 IT lab, this auditorium, 1 IT industrial technology room, 3 restrooms, canteen and play area outside. And that's just a small description of what will be here.
President Dr. Irfan Ali, who delivered the featured remarks, described it as an exciting day for the Brickdam secondary community. He reiterated the government's commitment to strengthening education across the country.
Education in Guyana is in good hands. Our efforts extend beyond Georgetown and the coast. One of our key priorities is to narrow the educational gaps between hinterland and coastland regions. For decades, these gaps have hindered our national progress, but not anymore. We are increasing access to schools and learning resources in the hinterland. The majority of the new schools that are being constructed are being built in hinterland regions, Region 1, 7, 8, and 9.
President Ali highlighted that since 2020, Guyana has undertaken an unprecedented journey in education infrastructure with approximately 40 schools built or rebuilt. And soon, contracts will be signed for science labs in hinterland schools. The ultimate goal, according to President Ali, remains the creation of a world-class education system, one that is accessible, inclusive, equitable, and capable of driving national development.
We tell you now that President Dr. Irfan Ali on Monday highlighted the importance of balancing academic and technical education with the development of well-rounded individuals. While speaking at the opening of the new Brickdam Secondary School, President Ali posited that true human capital must be understood within a national ecosystem that includes sport and physical education. And so, over the next 5 years, the head of state announced that there will be significant investments in recreational facilities in schools across Guyana. One key initiative will be for Friday afternoons to be dedicated entirely to sport and physical or recreational activities.
We have been able, at the Ministry of Education, to build in our education system the academic and technical requirement for the future. I see a particular emphasis on AI, digital technology, having our students understand the digital world they expect to operate in. But there is something that is bothering me and that we have to address. And that is developing a complete human being, understanding what human capital really is, and understanding that in our national ecosystem, sports, physical education plays a very important role. And in the next 5 years, great emphasis would be placed on recreational facilities to support our academic education. To this end, I want to see in the education system Friday afternoons after lunch completely dedicated to sports and physical education. I believe strongly that if we are to make a shift from the device-led world to a human-led world, we need to make these important changes.
We tell you now that former president of the Guyana Teachers Union, Dr. Mark Light, has officially declared his full support for the governing People's Progressive Party Civic and is now contesting as one of its candidates. Speaking at a rally in Albion on Sunday, Dr. Light urged Guyanese to unite behind the PPPC to secure continued national growth and development. Drawing on his extensive experience leading the teachers' union for over a decade, he praised the government's strides in education, highlighting initiatives that have improved equity and quality for teachers and students across the country. Dr. Light also emphasized that the PPPC's vision goes beyond visible infrastructure projects. He pointed to wide-ranging progress across multiple sectors describing the party's development agenda as truly transformative for Guyana's future.
I believe that where progress exists, we all should be on board, because progress is what will determine our children's future, because all of our contributions would have to lead towards getting a better Guyana for the next generation. And the leadership of the PPC has started this course for all of us. When we look across Guyana, we can see with our eyes development in every sector, development in every area. Some persons are saying we only seeing roads. But I would like for them to take the scales off their eyes, because this development goes beyond roads. Let us talk a little bit about education. As an educator for over 3 decades, I can tell you the education sector has never seen the kind of growth we have experienced in the last 5 years. And here, I'm talking about infrastructural development with our schools, modern classrooms, the introduction of ICT in our classrooms. We now have smart boards and other means to help our children in this dispensation to learn. We have also seen the extent to which training of teachers has gone beyond our expectation.
When the news returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport news. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting off with some Tapeball news. Titans All-Stars defeated Village Rams in a close final to win the Georgetown East Coast Demerara Zone title in the CARES 1 Guyana T10 Tapeball Blast held at the Lusignan Sports Club on Sunday last. Titans scored 98 for 7 with key contributions from Kimo Paul, who made 29, and Quinton Sampson, 28. Despite a strong bowling effort from Village Rams' Ratspal Bazdio with 2 for 7, and a valiant unbeaten half-century, 51 not out, by national youth player Yudhishthir Prasad, Village Ram fell short, scoring 92 for 3. This victory secures the national T20 champions a place in the national finals on Sunday, August 3rd at the National Stadium, Providence. They will join Montra Jaguars in the Berbice Zone and Eccles All-Stars of the East Bank West Demerara Zone and await the winner of the Essequibo Zone on July 26th and 27th. Here now is a recap of a weekend filled with pulsating action. Embracing the success of the Guyana Amazon Warriors at the second ExxonMobil Guyana Global Super League, Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh has noted that sport is truly a unifying force in Guyana, and the wide cross-section of patrons at the matches exemplified such. On Friday, the Amazon Warriors defeated Rangpur Riders at the National Stadium to lift the GSL title for the first time in its 2-year history.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Singh. Firstly, I know you're an Amazon Warriors fan and you must be happy with the total you have on the board.
Absolutely fantastic. We've seen once again tonight an absolutely fantastic game of cricket. The Amazon Warriors have had a fantastic innings. They've put a very respectable score on the scoreboard, and we're expecting that they're going to go out there and defend that score. But more importantly, we've seen a night of cricket thus far that thousands of Guyanese people have been able to really enjoy. By about 10 or 11 this morning, the ground was completely sold out. And that alone is an absolutely remarkable achievement, considering that this league is only in its second year. And secondly, we are reminded once again what a remarkable unifying force sport can be. You look around the ground today and you see Guyanese of every walk of life, coming from perhaps every region in the country, certainly of every different ancestral background that we have in Guyana. The beautiful, diverse ancestral tapestry that comprises beautiful, modern, kaleidoscopic, diverse Guyana on full display, unified around one purpose, supporting their team and enjoying a good event. And being able to root for their team, which is very much what we're seeing too, Guyanese coming together to root for Guyana. And it reminds me of a position that I know our president has taken on sports, not only as a unifying force, but sports also as a source of tremendous economic activity. We want sports tourism to be a significant feature in the range of products that we offer in the tourism sector. And we know all over the world that big sporting events like Super Bowl or the NBA or PGA golf tournaments or Formula One racing, they're all big national events that bring people from around the world to the host country to enjoy these events. And we see sports as a source of tremendous economic activity going forward. It's for that reason that we're investing so heavily in sports infrastructure, not only because we want Guyana to dominate sports internationally, whether it's cricket or football or basketball or volleyball or squash or table tennis or whatever, but also because we want to attract the world's best players to Guyana, and we want to attract visitors, spectators, and tourists to come and see and enjoy these events and tournaments, but also to stay in Guyana, experience Guyana, spend some money in Guyana, and generate some economic activity in Guyana.
Now, with a few areas to tighten up on, West Indies are aiming to rebound in the second T20 International against Australia on Tuesday night. West Indies lost the opening game at Sabina Park on Sunday after making 189, with Australia romping home by 3 wickets and 7 balls to spare to take a 1-0 lead. With the second game of the 5-match series slated for 20 hours, Jason Holder said that a victory would be the fitting send-off for fellow all-rounder Andre Russell, who is set to play his final T20 for the Caribbean side.
It's tough to say, man. You know, cricket is easy to look at in hindsight. But you know, having said that, you know, the toss is beyond our control. You know, it's one of those things where it's 50-50. But you know, they got the toss today, and you know, they were able to decide what they wanted to do. You know, we just got to look at our areas that we need to touch upon. Again, as I said before, plenty of positives, but you know, a few areas that we can definitely touch upon. Yeah, probably a few plans that we can look at and change a little bit. You know, but having said that, bowlers have strengths and things that they've had success doing. You know, so it's just a matter of executing. This is a game of execution, and you know, it's a game of small margins as well too. You know, a few balls could have gone to hand, But having said that, that's the way the game is played. But as you said, I think maybe we could probably look at one or two plans that we have to the opposition and try to see if we can just bring our A game for the next game. Yeah, there was obviously a high boundary count with the Aussies, so I think if we can limit that, maybe cut a few of the 6s to 4s, maybe 4s to 2s or 3s, that adds up in the end. Having said that, I think our execution could be better, and if we execute better, I think that those margins could come down a little bit. I don't think we could really probably hit the top order that well. I mean, that much, but I think if anything, the lower half can probably spend a few more balls before we start to hit. But I think the situation in the game was one where we believed that it was a 200-odd pitch, and guys thought that we had to come in and go hard. But yeah, one of those days.
And it's going to be Andre's final game. Nice crowd support. Guess we'd love to see more of the same, just to send him off on a high.
Yeah, it'd be great to send him off on a high. It'd be great to send him off on a winning note, which I'm confident that we can definitely do. We've got confidence that we can turn it around. It's just one game in the series, 4 left, and his final game, we just want to go out there and give everything for him.
Now, the former Guyana and West Indies cricketer Ramnarish Sarwan has hailed government's investment in sport over the last 5 years, especially as it relates to infrastructure development. Since coming to office in 2020, the Irfan Ali-led government has injected over $20 billion into sport while being actively engaged in consultations with the various national associations. Sarwan was particularly pleased with the investment being made in the development of stadiums across the country, as he pointed to the positive strides being made. All right, Tars, first of all, thanks for having this discussion with us today. Let's start off with Guyana's cricket. I know you've been intricately involved in terms of being the chairman of selectors, and you've seen the growth of the sport from a different perspective under this new administration. I say new because we had an administration before that was in there for quite a number of years. Just recap what you've seen over those years in your involvement, and where are we heading now in terms of the development of the sport?
Oh, well, I think it's very evident in terms of with the facilities that have been building around the country. Of course, we've seen, I think it's 4 or 5 stadiums that are being built. Not only cricket stadium, but they're also be used for athletic purposes. I think it's a really good initiative because, of course, we've got the Global Super League, then you've got CPL, and then you're fully aware that we have international cricket as well. So I think in terms of sport tourism, it would have a major, major impact. I'm hoping that it continues. So I think it's in good stead for us.
Yeah, you spoke about those facilities which are important in terms of developing the sport. We also have a facility being built right at the stadium there, an indoor training facility and all-weather pitches being built. How significant is that in terms of ensuring that the sport continues to evolve? Because we have seen over the years where players reach top point and they don't go further unless you're a really special talent.
Well, I mean, like you rightfully said, the game has evolved over the years, and I think it's going to continue. But I think the beauty about it is that we here in Guyana, I think the work that the government has been doing, it is obviously going to help our players to develop and get better. So I think with the initiative of building these new stadiums, and of course the facilities that you mentioned, it gives our players an opportunity to train when it's raining in Guyana. But I think it's really important that we continue the trajectory on in terms of investing in sports, and I think the government is doing a great job with that.
Football news now. Chase Academic Foundation defended their under-14 boys football title with a commanding 4-1 victory over 3 Miles Secondary on Sunday, bringing the curtains down on the 6th edition of the ExxonMobil Boys and Girls Schools Under-14 Football Championship. However, Chase's hopes of a historic double were dashed as their girls team fell to a 2-0 defeat against an impressive Bartica secondary side, who lifted the girls' title in style at the Ministry of Education ground. Today's opening match saw Bartica secondary girls team overcome a strong Chase Academy lineup after a closely contested first half. Despite chances for both sides, the deadlock remained unbroken until midway through the second half. Narisma Williams and Alicia Gonzalez sealed the victory for the Region 7 school. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, and all social media platforms. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next time.